you guys, and welcome back to part 2 of my eyeshadow decluttering video. Last week we ended up going through this top drawer of eyeshadow. This one was stuffed to the absolute brim. You could not even see inside of it. We started with 64 and ended with technically 16, but one's an empty palette. The Makeup Revolution one in the corner, the bright one, that one is only used for nails because it's super expired. So technically we ended up with only 14. Not a bad ratio. So today I feel ready to be tackling not only this drawer down here at the bottom, but over on my coffin shelf, I also have some eyeshadow palettes along with my regular bookshelf. I have even more eyeshadows up there. So I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to tackle everything in today's video. There's a little bit less product inside of this drawer here. It has one of these organizers in it, so it's a little bit less. I guess we'll find out once I pull everything out and count it though. So let's go ahead and start with that, pull it all out, give it a good cleaning. Let's do it. I'm not sure why, but I was under the impression that this week's video was gonna have less palettes to go through than last week's, but I have a grand total of 90 palettes. That number needs to go down drastically. I mean, I have a lot of excuses as to why that number is so high. I mean, I had subscription boxes, I've had palettes that I've had for over 7 years now. A lot of the palettes are like collection kind of pieces that I've just been holding on to, and I mean, I've purchased all of these items over several years now, so it's not like I just went out and bought it all at once. I do realize that it is an insane number, and I'm gonna be making some changes in the future in order that this never happens again, because this is just kind of crazy to me. But yeah, with that being said, we got a lot to go through today, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And I'm gonna be trying to do it like I did it in last week's video. I'm gonna be doing some bundles that we're kind of moving through things a little bit faster. So this first bundle I'm bringing out to you guys is actually some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes that are well over, I want to say like 7 years old. They're in the collection purely for nostalgic reasons. I love them. I can no longer use them, and I just kept them because I just wanted the memories of them. So let's just do a quick peek at them just to reminisce. I had the Glamlight Viva Taco palette. This was my first ever eyeshadow palette by Glamlight, and I just fell in love with the quality of the shadows. So good, so pigmented. Just such a great first eyeshadow palette to try out by them. I then also have the Dose of Colors Desi x Katie collab. This eyeshadow palette was huge when it came out, and I do love Dose of Colors quality for shadows. They are some of the best, and I honestly think Desi and Katie killed it with this collab, and they haven't, at least that I've seen, done anything recently, so that's why I was like hanging on to this palette for so long, because I am a really big fan of the both of them, so was very proud to have this eyeshadow palette. Then I had this KVD 10-year anniversary eyeshadow palette. And this one I really loved just because of the color selection in here. You got a little bit of everything, and it was just super special to me because this was a gift from my mama on my birthday back when this collection kind of came out, and it had that special kind of like drawing in the front. Then we have another collab palette. This one is by BH Cosmetics. It is the Daisy Marquez palette. When it comes to eyeshadow palettes, I definitely do tend to gravitate towards the ones that have that kind of pop of color, a little bit of a wow moment, if you will. And I mean, these 3 shades right here, I don't know if you can tell, but I made quite an indent in those shadows because I really had a good time playing with those ones. Such a nice palette. Oh man, I'm gonna be so sad saying goodbye to these 4. Oh, we can't hoard makeup anymore. That is not how this works. All right, then let's go into my ColourPop collection here. I have quite a few. Oh, actually that's not it. I also have these. All right, so let's go through them. I have the Sweet Talk eyeshadow palette, the So Fly palette, the Blue Moon, the palette that I completely tore apart, so I don't know the original name of this one, but it was like a secret Kathleen Lights eyeshadow palette that didn't make it to be her actual palette. I ripped it to shreds to find out. Whatever the name of this one is called. The Disney Villains Misunderstood eyeshadow palette. The official Kathleen Lights x ColourPop collab. The So Jaded palette. And then getting into the minis. The first 3 are the Animal Crossing collabs. That we have the What a Hoot, La Belle of the Ball, 5 Star Island. And then lastly, I actually ended up breaking the hinges of this one, but it's the Bare It All eyeshadow palette. Pretty large ColourPop collection here. I'm only going to be keeping a couple of them. A lot of these are older, which is going to include the Sweet Talk palette, Blue Moon, No Name, Disney Villains, ColourPop So Jaded. These ones are, oops, on the much too old side, so they have to go from the collection. The SoFly is actually one of my most recent ones. I believe this one's only about a year old, so she's gonna be the first one to be staying. My 4 minis. These ones are getting to be a little bit older, where they probably could go, but I could get a little bit more use of them. I'm starting to like minis a little bit more, so for right now, let me hold on to these ones. That was a 50-50 split. I got rid of 5, I kept 5. Then a quick bundle of 2 from the Balm Cosmetics. This first one here is In the Balm of Your Hand, Greatest Hits Volume 2. And this is an eyeshadow palette, blush, contour kind of like duo here that I have not even dipped into. The pans are fully intact, so I'm gonna be setting this one aside and gifting it away to someone. And then the second one is the Auto Balm, the Pick Perf, Shadows on the Go. I don't know what happened there. That is just not wanting to stay put. And this one's also going to be going today just because I didn't really gravitate towards using this one all that much. I wasn't a big fan of this natural primer here, and the majority of the shades are shimmers with just these 2 matte shades that I felt like I couldn't really use too much with all of the shadows up here, especially with these ones. I don't know, I didn't really get a chance to use the green with it, at least me personally. I had to go and grab another palette in order to kind of make this one work, and that to me just is a little bit unnecessary, so I didn't really gravitate towards using this one all that much. So both of these are gonna be going. Since I just got rid of 2, let's keep 2. I've got 2 by Natasha Denona. I've got the Jubilee 5-pan shadow palette and the Zendo 15-piece palette. Love the quality of her shadows. These were one of the best things that I ended up actually getting from my subscription boxes, because otherwise I would not have been buying the Natasha Denona stuff because it's just so expensive. But yeah, these 2 can stay put. This one's super reflective though, so I am gonna stack some other eyeshadows on top of it though. That way, hopefully it's not reflecting everything while I'm talking, so we'll uncover it at the end. All right, time for the next stack, and these 3 I'm gonna be getting rid of. Brace yourselves. So this is the Milk Cosmetics Smoke Sessions palette, but this is the one before they sent out the formula change. So all of the shimmer shadows look like this currently. They did send out palettes where they did fix this issue. This is the older version. Don't know why I still have it. It definitely has to go because I can't use those shadows anymore anyway. Then I had this brand Illuminati X Isabella Bedoya. And this one I did not use to pan. This was also a shadow that just kind of started disintegrating over time. Not sure why. And along with that, this palette was one of those ones that looked really great. I was really excited about, but I was just very let down in the overall quality of the shadows. I had some issues making these really pack a punch with the colors, so a disappointing one. I didn't really reach for all that much. And then I had one by Barbarella, B Beauty London. Just something about this one, I just wasn't really the biggest fan of it. I don't know. I think it was the color scheme and the fact that out of 20 shades, only 5 of them are mattes, the rest are shimmers. That's just a personal preference. I'm not the biggest fan of palettes that have the majority shimmers, especially ones that just have a very similar kind of feel to them. So I'll see if I can get this one away. So all 3 of these are gonna be leaving today. Another random stack of palettes. First up, I had the Sigma Warm Neutrals Volume 2 eyeshadow palette. This was a fabulous little eyeshadow palette. This one is going from the collection purely because it is very old by now, but it was a great little mix of shadows. Definitely some staple colors, could do a lot with it. Another one that I really loved was the Alamar Cosmetics Volume 1 palette. Love these shadows. I have definitely always been very much a fan of like the warmer toned eyeshadows, so this one was fabulous. Love the quality of her shadows. And then this one is actually in here by accident. Whoopsie, this is the KVD Shade and Light Contour Palette. They have an eyeshadow palette that I believe also says Shade and Light, so I always mixed up the two. Either way, this one will be going because it is very old and I already did a declutter of the bronzers and contours. It was a good palette. I only really did use the colors over here on this side. Pretty much didn't touch the other shadows, which is one of the things that I did not really like about contouring palettes that I mentioned in the other video. But this one, this is my Pinky Rose Cosmetics Bright Lights palette. Look at those shadows. They are so pretty. The pigmentation on these bright ones is unreal. I need to check out what Pinky Rose has been up to because this was some good stuff. I kept last week this very much expired eyeshadow palette by Makeup Revolution, their neon palette that I was gonna use only for my nails. That is a trick I had learned in doing my Gel X nails, is that you can use an eyeshadow in order to create like an aurora effect. I thought I didn't have this palette anymore, so I was keeping this one. But what I think I'm gonna do is actually trade these two out. So I'm gonna be keeping the Pinky Rose only for the purpose of putting them on my nails, not putting it on my face. Just wanna clarify that. So we'll do a 1-for-1 swap in a sense there. And then these three will go. Next up, let's talk about these three. I always forget that these are not by the same brand because I look at this one and it makes me think that they're the same one and I always stack them together, but they're actually not. So this is by Juvia's Place and this one was by E. Louise. I always wonder if they did that on purpose, but all three of these are gonna be going today because they are very much on the older side, but let's take one last look at them. I have the Nubian by Juvia's Place, the mini version because there is a larger one as well, and the Zulu palette. Another one of my really fun bright eyeshadow palettes. Love that one. And then for Eloise, I had the Queen. A Queen Lies in All of Us. And to be quite honest, I don't actually think I dipped into this one all that much. Not quite sure why. I think it might have just got lost in the stack here. So yeah, I didn't really reach for that one all that much, but these two, oh man, I really love these ones. Juvia's Place, 10 out of 10 in the eyeshadow quality. I actually used this one on my graduation day for my makeup that day. It looked beautiful. Another two that are gonna be going is by Morphe. These are two collab palettes. I have the one with Jaclyn Hill. This is the Dark Magic. I think that this was the one that was better of the other eyeshadow palettes in terms of their quality because this one had some huge issues with the formula, but I honestly can't remember. I did not really reach for it all that much after I did keep it. I did have the other palettes, so I know I got rid of those. This was the one I ended up keeping. And then I also have the Morphe X Mani MUA Glam palette. Very pretty, kind of like everyday eyeshadows in here with two different kinds of highlighters. This one, I don't think there was really anything wrong with it. It just wasn't one that I ended up really gravitating towards reaching. I mean, there was heavy competition in this eyeshadow drawer, so it was easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle. So this one did not get that much use by me. Neither did this one. And it's time for them to go. Next up, let's take a look at all of my Huda Beauty eyeshadow palettes, which I don't know how, but I accidentally ended up getting two of the Nude Rich palettes. I think there was an issue with the quality of one of the eyeshadow palettes, and I believe they sent out a replacement. I think that's what it was, if I remember correctly, because the one over here, this one is untouched. I haven't even swatched this one, but the shimmery shadow over here had kind of like disintegrated and the other one is still intact, and it looks like I've been dipping into that one. So I think that's what it was. I just, for some reason, didn't end up getting rid of that one. So right off the bat, I will be getting rid of the one that I was supposed to be. That way I only have one of the same eyeshadow palette. I also got the Warm Brown Obsessions, the Coral Obsessions, and then lastly, I have the Rose Gold palette remastered. I'm gonna be keeping the Nude Rich along with the Nude Medium that I kept last week, and I'm gonna be getting rid of the other two mini palettes here. These are the older versions of the nude ones. I mean, you can tell just based off the packaging, she did switch it up completely. So these have got to go just because of the age. And then I'm actually also gonna be getting rid of the Rose Gold palette because this one is, I had to look it up, but like 5+ years now. So unfortunately, a little bit too old. Did really enjoy this one. It's a sad day when these have to go, but I have to. I can't keep it. We are making great progress so far. getting rid of a bunch, not keeping too much. New stack of palettes here, and these 4 are actually going to be leaving the collection for the exact same reason. There was nothing wrong with the quality of the shadows of these. It just ended up being palettes that I honestly really didn't reach for all that much. So no point in keeping them in the collection, but let's have a final look at them. I had the Illamasqua Unveiled Artistry palette. I had the Cella Neutral palette. This one also was just such a large palette for just 4 single shadows. Felt a little unnecessary. I had the BoxyCharm Hello Charmer palette. And then lastly, I had the Sakura and Sage Vegan Eyeshadow and Blush palette. So again, nothing wrong with them, just didn't really end up reaching for them. Oh man, and this one I'm not gonna bundle with anyone because I feel like this needs its own moment. I didn't even remember that I still had this one. This is one by Storybook Cosmetics. It's their Fairy Tales palette. This is the one that the brand just completely ditched everybody. They had their huge scandal. I believe there's still a lawsuit against them. They just completely stopped their Instagram. They took down their website. Pre-orders were all messed up, lacking in funding, like so many crazy different things with this brand. So this one's gotta go. Next up, I got the rest of my Alter Ego collection. I knew I had more of these. I got rid of 2 in last week's video. So these 2 are actually gonna be going as well because they are also the same age as the ones I got rid of last week. So these are going strictly because of the age, but I have the Aurora palette, and then I had the Daydream palette. Ooh, this one's dirty. Then we got all of my Violet Vosses, and I mean, this one right away, we know we've got to get rid of because this is the Nicole Concilio collab. This was, whoo, I don't even know how many years ago that was. This was a great one. Love the quality of that. She did a great job with that collab too. I also have the All of You Forever palette, which this was a good eyeshadow palette, but I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed in the color scheme. When I think like Olive for You, I'm thinking like greens, green, not just 2 shimmery shades. I was hoping to see some mattes in there that you can kind of do an all over green look with. So this one was a little bit disappointing for me. And then lastly, we have my little 6-pan mini eyeshadow palette here. I forget what the name of this one is. It doesn't say on here, but I think it's like the Coral something because it's got this bright pop of color there. I know for a fact I'm gonna get rid of these 2. I'm kind of debating this one. The only thing that's kind of holding me back is I have quite a few minis and it's a little bit on the like neutral side with the browns. The only thing I'd be really keeping it for is that Coral. So I'm wondering if I should. I'll hold on to this one for now. Let's keep that in the keep pile. Let's get rid of these 2. Next up, we got my Too Faced bundle. And Too Faced is actually one that I've noticed that keeps their palettes in rotation for like the longest time. I try to look these up to see what year they were, and the only one I found out was the Palm Springs one. I think that was a little bit more specific collab. The Natural Matte and the Peach one is a staple that you can still buy, which I'm pretty sure I got these very recently in a box. So I think these 2 are the most recent. This one's the oldest. So this is their Palm Springs Dream palette. And although this was a gorgeous palette, I honestly really didn't reach for it all that much, which is actually kind of the case with a lot of my Too Faced. Like this one is super recent. This is the Sweet Peach. Very pretty, but I don't know, I think it's the color scheme and maybe it's just a little bit safe for me. It's not really something that draws me in too much. When it's specific ones like these, like the Sweet Peach or the Olive for You palette, I expect something a little bit different. Like this one, I expect just a little bit more peaches. Maybe if it was just like this top half, more of that kind of feel. Yeah, maybe that would draw me in a little bit more versus the bottom half. I don't know. But then I also have the Natural Matte. Got all the staple colors just in matte, so you can wear it kind of every day. Again, I'm pretty sure I got this one more recently. I kind of want to hang on to this one just because it's a very classic kind of eyeshadow palette. I will, however, be gifting away the Sweet Peach. That one is very new. I haven't really dipped into it. Palm Springs one is also going to be going. Didn't really reach for it. I've also got a little bit of a random bundle here. These are all different brands. I got some Ofra. This is her signature palette in Symphony. Gorgeous little palette, but this one does remind me a lot of the ones I kept last week. I keep referring to this, but I kept a lot of the same Natasha Denona last week, all in like berry tones. So this does kind of remind me quite a bit of that one. It also looks like I haven't really dipped into these 2, so let's go ahead and gift this one away. Another one I think I'm gonna gift away is this Rare Beauty one. This is the Confident Energy, And don't get me wrong, this palette is beautiful. Look at those shimmery shades. They're actually very pigmented, but it's an all shimmery mini palette that I have to have another palette for and reach with. So I'm just gonna get rid of it because just a personal preference here. I like to have the options within the same palette. I'm not a big fan of like the all shimmers. So I'm gonna gift this one away just because I know myself. If I keep it, it'll be tough to reach for it. I tend to kind of like stick with the palette I'm using that day. Oh, now this one's a tough one. This is the Viseart Neutral Matte Eyeshadow Palette. Good formula on these. This is also another one that's really recent. And you know what? Let's keep the Viseart. Let's gift away this one instead. Let's do a little bit of a trade because I get a couple more shadows inside of this palette here, and the other one's still very new, so I could still have someone else be able to use it. Love it, that whole deal. Oh yeah, we were getting rid of those ones. And then lastly, we have my Fenty Beauty. This is the Moroccan Spice eyeshadow palette. To be quite honest, I ended up not really reaching for this one all that much. I mean, it was heavy competition, as you guys know, with the eyeshadow palette, so even if you were a good palette, you kind of got set aside. There was other ones that I was dipping into just a little bit more, so I think I'm gonna pass this one along. Then I got a stack of 6 eyeshadow palettes that are all gonna be going for different reasons. Let's get into them. So first up, I have the Sandbar Oasis palette. This one is super recent, so I'm actually gonna be gifting this one away. Nothing wrong with it, except for the packaging. I'm not a big fan of this wasted space kind of packaging. It's just these shadows here. That's my only downside with this palette, but it also just wasn't one that really, I don't know, draws me in too much. It's not one that I am thinking like, oh, I need to pick that one up and create a look with it. It's also the majority of them being shimmers with just this one kind of neutral color in it. So I don't know, it's just something that I'm not really reaching for. So while it's still new, I'm gonna gift it away, which is the same kind of deal with this one by Phase Zero. This is their Necessities eyeshadow palette. Although this one does have more mattes in it, that's not the reason I'm getting rid of it for the all shimmers, but it's just one that I haven't really been reaching for. It is a more neutral kind of like everyday palette where I have other ones that I just reach for a little bit more with that. This one's also super recent, so since I have the other ones that I will try to be working through before I can't anymore, I'm gonna gift this one away while it's still fresh and I can do that. So say goodbye to that one. Then I got the IBY Beauty Fireside Eyeshadow Palette. This is an Ipsy exclusive. And again, nothing wrong with the palette. It's just not one that I've been really reaching for, and it's super new, so I'm gonna gift it away. Then I have my e.l.f. Bronzed. And this one's going from the collection because it is on the older side, and they ended up replacing this one with the bites that they have. The ones that look like this, and I'm pretty sure this is the updated version over here. Made the packaging smaller, got rid of this giant one, so gonna get rid of that one. I had my Pretty Vulgar Nightingale eyeshadow palette, and this is actually one of my like favorite cool toned eyeshadow palettes. I need to look for more cool tones. I tend to gravitate towards the warm, but it's always good to have a cool in here. But unfortunately, this one's gotta go just because of the age of it. If not, I would be keeping it. And then lastly from the stack, I have the Tarte Clay Play Face Shaping Palette. This was another great neutral kind of eyeshadow palette, and it was easily set up to be able to do 3 different kinds of neutrals here. Definitely love that Tarte did that. I like the palettes where they had it kind of like split up, very easy to use, beginner friendly, and neutral palettes are a really good one to have. This one's going just because it is older, and I'm keeping other ones that are neutrals that are a little bit newer. Next stack of 3 of the same brand. This one's gonna be a tough one to decide. I have my Lunar Beauty collection. First up is actually a single pan eyeshadow palette, the little compilation. It's the 12 Days of Lunar. I got this in the, not a mystery box, I think it was the advent calendar. So these are all actually like single eyeshadows that I can just pop in and out, which I love. So if I wanted to, I could switch these up. So this one's gonna be staying, very recent. That's an easy one. Then I got 2 tougher ones. So I have the Greek Goddess palette. This gold just reflects everything. I try to clean it up and feel like I just made it worse. But definitely very pretty palette. Undecided on that one. Then I have the Nude Prism. A great kind of neutral-esque palette here, but with some pinky tones. Okay, if I'm looking at these objectively, I feel like I might reach for this one more than I would this one, because I have reached for this one quite a bit more than the other one. So let's do a 1-for-1 ratio. I'll keep this one, get rid of that one. Why am I like this? Why do I love my neutrals? I did keep one fun color though. All right, anyways, let's move on to my Ciate palette collection now. I've got 3. I've got the, I don't know the specific name of this one actually. It's the 9-piece eyeshadow palette. Again, neutral pink tones. I love these palettes. And it's a mini, oh man. Then I have the Spice palette. This one's a 9-pan one. And then I got my largest one, the I Am Woman, What's Your Superpower 24-piece eyeshadow palette. Tell me why it feels like I have the same eyeshadow palette, but in just different sizes. That's pretty much what this feels like. Kind of feel like that shade is almost similar. Same with that one. Kind of like a pinky moment. Let's gift away the mini. Let's also gift away the medium. And then let's do a bit of a trade here. I was on the fence about this one, the Lunar Beauty one, but now that I'm seeing these two side by side, the Ciate, hold on, I might need to zoom you out a little. Seeing the Ciate one compared to this one, I feel like I get a little bit more from the Ciate palette versus the Lunar Beauty one. So I think I'm gonna do a trade and I'll keep Ciate and pass the Nude Prism one on to someone else. Because it's still a great palette, just don't need both. Okay, we're almost at the end now. We only have a couple more palettes to go, and I got my largest one at the end. It's gonna be the Jeffree Star one. I'm avoiding doing that one because I'm just a little bit unsure of that one. So I got a couple in between that. First stack, this one's a little bit larger. We got 7 to go through real quick. I'm gonna start with the largest one. I got the Iconic London Day to Slay eyeshadow palette. This is another beautiful everyday kind of eyeshadow palette, but I feel like this is gonna be the same exact thing that I was just dealing with the Ciate and the Lunar Beauty one. Ciate definitely has a lot more pinky tones, but I feel like I don't really need this palette. It is absolutely beautiful and it pains my heart to do it, but I think I'll pass this one along. I don't think I will reach for it as much as I should if I do hang on to it. So let's be responsible. Another one I'm gonna say see you later to is the Celestial Thunder. This one is by Dominique Cosmetics. And again, it's another beautiful palette, but I just don't think I really need to keep it for myself. I would much rather pass this one along because I'm already keeping a lot of shadows. Then I got the Beauty Bakery Proof is in the Pudding eyeshadow palette. And again, this is another beautiful neutral eyeshadow palette. It's just not one that I should be keeping because I'm already keeping quite a few like neutral toned palettes. My only gripe with this one was the arrangement of the shadows. I wish they would have had it symmetrical. It definitely bugged my eye a little bit with this palette, but everything else was fabulous in it. But I am gonna gift it away to somebody else. I didn't realize how many neutral palettes I actually own. Then I have the Laura Geller Cinnamon and Spice. And again, it's the same kind of deal. A pinky toned kind of neutral palette here. I do definitely blame the subscription boxes that I had for such a long time. I got a lot of eyeshadow palettes in general, but I felt like I got a lot of repeating kind of themes as well. So that's why I am so heavily stocked up on certain things. This is another great eyeshadow palette, but I am keeping too many at this point. Let's gift it. Another Laura Geller, this is the Central Park Face, Eye, and Cheek palette. It is a great little travel palette, some staple colors in here, very easy to kind of just grab and go, but this is one that I don't really reach for all that much, so just for that reason, let's pass it along. Doing very good with these. I only got 2 left of the stack. I got the ABH Soft Glam 2. This one I actually don't think I have dipped into. Why do I want to keep it? Is it because it's ABH and I don't have one of these? Could that be it? Am I hoarding? It's possible. I'm on the fence with this one. Let's put that one there for now. And then I got the Charlotte Tilbury Walk of No Shame. Do I need this one? Probably not. I was doing so well. Okay, I know I shouldn't, but I'm gonna hang on to it for the moment, just for the moment. We'll keep it to the end, and then I'm gonna go through all of my minis once I move everything down from that first drawer. Let's do it like that. Okay, and then the last stack before the big Jeffree Star stack. So let's talk about these ones. I got 3 by Pure. I got the other 2 of the Pure Trolls collab. I got the Techno and the Classical. I did end up keeping last week the Purple Funk palette, but kind of looking at those 3, I'm wondering if they are too similar to like the Animal Crossing one. The only one I would say I would probably not need is this classical one. We can get rid of that one. The blue is very different. That one is not similar to those. I could keep the blue. Purple, if I was to choose between the two purples, I feel like I would want this one just because of this like glittery one, and this duochrome one is a little bit more fun than this kind of like standard purple in my opinion. So I think I'll get rid of the Funk actually, the one that I saved last week, and just save, oops, the little Animal Crossing one. Okay, that works out better I think. Got rid of 2. Then also by Pure, I have the Festival 2.0. It's got lots of good colors in here, but I honestly do not really reach for it all that much. And if I'm keeping other fun ones, let's pass this one along. Next is the Zoeva Screen Queen. And this one, I believe there was an issue with the formula because this one just kind of disintegrated in here. This other one is also falling apart. It's ready to like, oh yeah, just pop out of the container there. So I think there was a little bit of something going on with the shadow quality of this specific Zoeva palette, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Then we have the Aether Beauty. And I actually don't think I used this one all that much. I think I used it maybe once or twice, but I can't quite remember it. It has some very pretty shades in here, purples and blues. I was thinking I might get rid of this one, but let's think about that one. I think, you know what? Maybe I'll hang on to it. And then lastly, I have the Ace Beauty Nostalgia. Oh, this is a beautiful palette. Yeah, this one I'm keeping. I like the quality of Ace Beauty shadows. Lots of fun stuff in there. I feel like I'm missing fun palettes. I'm keeping a lot of neutrals. So let's hang on to that one for now. Okay, now that leaves my giant Jeffree Star collection. So let's pull that out. I might need to zoom you guys out a little bit. If I were to keep these in the drawer, it would not work. I've got the Blood Sugar palette. Look at those colors. Absolutely stunning. The Blue Blood one here. Gorgeous selection of different blues. Oh, I really need to clean that one up. So pretty. I got 4 of the ones that look kind of like trunks, coffins, whatever you want to call it. Well, actually, one was a cassette player. One was a coffin. This one's like a money box. I got the Blood Money palette. So this one is the all green theme. The Conspiracy palette. I've got the Thirsty palette, the Jawbreaker palette. So many good looking colors there. A little bit more of an easier palette. Same with that Thirsty one. I got the Schmorgy, which is just a giant neutrals palette. I've got 2 that are still in the packaging, which is the Cremated palette. This is gonna be the Grayscale. I also have the Star Wedding. This one I don't even think I opened to anything with. Still got the plastic on it, have not dipped into it at all. I've got the Velvet Box, the Bloodlust palette, which is the all purple themed palette. I have the Alien palette, which has a little bit of everything in terms of the color scheme in it. Kind of UFO-y. For the minis, I have a Weirdo, and then I got the Star Ranch palette. So this stack is definitely my toughest one to objectively get rid of anything because I do really like the collection. I think they're unique pieces because of the display. Do I need every single eyeshadow palette in this collection here? No, probably not. Do I want to keep them? Yes, but could probably get rid of these 4 because these were in my last declutter that was about 4 years ago. I would purely be keeping them because of the aesthetics. So let's not keep them. Oh my God, my heart. The Blood Money. This one is more recent. I think I'll keep that one. Same with Weirdo. Star Wedding. That's a tough one because it's brand new. I feel like I could potentially get rid of maybe the Schmorgy palette because the Star Wedding one has some neutrals. Not a lot where, you know, this one does, but the large palette of this one, I mean, that was my first impression of it when I got it too, was like, this is just too much for like the everyday person. It's definitely more so something for someone who is a little bit more on a professional level. So I feel like maybe I could get rid of the Schmorgy, replace it with that one, and then maybe the same thing with the Cremated. I do really like this palette, but I mean, this one does have grays too if I wanted to do that kind of a moment. Okay, so I'll do a trade. I'll say goodbye to these two. How about the other ones? I got the Jawbreaker. This one's just like a super fun, colorful one. No, I want to hang on to it. Bloodlust. Fun purples. I want to hang on to it. Alien. I don't know if I necessarily need the Alien palette. Let's put it here for now. And then I have Star Range. I kind of want to keep that one too. Okay, this was why I avoided doing this one. I did get rid of a few though. I got rid of 6. I kept 7. Almost a 50-50. Let's move down everything from the top here. Let's see, how many did I end up keeping here in the end? Which actually, I'm gonna get rid of this like mini ColourPop one, just because I did a re-look through everything. I don't think I really need this one, so let's take that one out. As far as the total goes that I'm keeping, I am counting this week's videos and last week's number. So in total, I am keeping 36 if I'm not including this empty palette, which I shouldn't be, and then the Bright Lights one that I'm gonna use strictly for the nails, out of a grand total of 154 eyeshadow palettes. I still consider that a huge win. That's still me getting rid of 116 eyeshadow palettes that I don't need to be keeping. So I think this was very successful. I probably kept a little bit more than I should have, but this is a great start, I think. That being said, our decluttering series is not over. Next week, we are gonna be moving over to, we're either gonna do my highlighter and blush drawer or my lipstick drawer that not only is here, I have my collection pieces up here, also collection pieces up here, or there's also the random drawer I have kind of on all levels here, along with some foundations and primers. Actually, why don't you guys let me know which one you want to see next? Let's take a vote and drop which one you want to have be the next video in the comments below. It's either going to be random, lipstick, blush and highlighter, or the foundations and powder. Let me know what you guys want to see. That being said though, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell button, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!